Another week, another lawsuit here in Montana. First we had the house on the river, then we had the Airbnb lawsuit, then we had the lawsuit about the taxes in Montana, and now another one that's also going to affect our taxes here. This lawsuit is a class action lawsuit against the Montana Department of Revenue. Let me tell you about this one. The other day, I saw a newspaper article about this lawsuit. There are a lot of details about this lawsuit, so I went to the website that the Silverman Law Office has that explains everything about this lawsuit. Again, I'm just the messenger here, so I'm going to leave all of the contact information, the website for the Silverman Law Offices, so you can go to the site and check it out yourself. They're going to have a FAQ section. They're going to have a digital form to fill out if you want to become a part of this, and all of the details that I'm going to go over in this video. I would definitely suggest going to their site and checking this out after the video. So here's the problem. Every 2 years, the Department of Revenue reassesses all of the properties around the state of Montana to figure out what they're worth for tax purposes. One way they do that is by looking at the sales prices of similar properties. But for this 2025-26 tax cycle, they're only supposed to consider sales from July 1st, 2023 to July 1st, 2024 when they use that sales comparison method. According to the lawsuit, the department hasn't followed that rule. Instead of sticking to that 12-month window, they've been relying on sales from outside of that period, sometimes spanning several years, which can push your assessed value higher than your actual market value. And because your property taxes are based on that assessed value, that means many Montana property owners may have been paying more tax than they should. But real quick, if I could ask you for a big favor, I just looked at my YouTube stats and it's telling me that 80% of people that are watching my videos are not subscribed. And I'm really trying to get to 100,000 subscribers this year. So if you could please hit subscribe and hit the little thumbs up button on this video, I'd really appreciate it. Here are two examples straight from the case. A property in Belgrade, according to an independent appraiser licensed by the Montana Board of Real Estate Appraisers, should have been valued at about $2.3 million for this cycle. The Department of Revenue instead valued it at about $3.8 million, which the lawsuit says led to an estimated tax overpayment of $12,285. And in Big Sky, an independent appraiser concluded a property should have been assessed at roughly $17.5 million. The department put that same property at about $33.5 million, resulting in an overpayment of $55,804 in property taxes. These aren't numbers made up by homeowners. They come from licensed independent appraisers comparing the law's required sales window to what the state actually used. Now, here's the part that's really frustrating for a lot of people. If you want to challenge your property value, you have to follow the rules exactly. Your independent appraisal only counts if it uses comparable sales from that same July 1st, 23 to July 1st, 24 window the department is supposed to follow. But the complaint says the department didn't follow that rule for itself. It alleges that the Department of Revenue used sales from outside that allowed period, even from earlier years, while telling taxpayers their own appraisals have to stay inside the 12-month window or they won't even be considered. So taxpayers are confined to a strict 12-month valuation period, while the department allegedly violates that same rule, which the lawsuit says effectively strips many Montanans of a meaningful way to challenge inaccurate valuations. Most property owners have no way to see this just by looking at their tax bill. Montana is a non-disclosure state, which means individual home sale prices are generally confidential and not available in public county records. On top of that, the department does not voluntarily release its comparable sales data to taxpayers. so you can't usually see which specific sales they used unless you start a dispute or appeal. Silverman Law Office says that as part of the 2025 appeal cycle, they filed 183 property tax appeals across Montana. After each appeal, the Department of Revenue provided information packets showing how they arrived at the value, including the sales they relied on. And in many cases, those packets revealed sales outside the legally allowed time period. Property owners who never filed an informal review, appeal, or lawsuit may never know whether their own valuations were affected. So what is this lawsuit trying to do? The goal is pretty simple: to require the Department of Revenue to follow the law. If the case is fully successful, the court could order the Department of Revenue to reassess properties statewide using only the correct legal sales data and to issue refunds to anyone who overpaid taxes because of this. There's one big catch, though, that you need to understand. Montana law currently says that if you're challenging a tax in court, you have to pay that tax under protest when it's due, or the case can't go forward. This class action is arguing that that requirement is unconstitutional, so if the court agrees, property owners could be part of this class action suit even if they never paid under protest and wouldn't have to do anything to join. But if the court rules that the protest requirement is valid, then any taxpayer who believes the Department of Revenue used out-of-window sales to overvalue their property would need to timely pay their taxes under protest to be eligible to be a plaintiff in this case. Payments for the second half of the 2025 tax year are due June 1st of 26, and because protest procedures can vary by county, the firm is telling people to contact them if they're thinking about going that route. If you simply believe your property is overvalued, even apart from this lawsuit, you still have options. You can request an informal classification and appraisal review from the Department of Revenue, or file a formal appeal, and you can hire an attorney to handle that for you. Just be aware there are strict deadlines. In general, you have 30 days from the date on your property classification and appraisal notice to appeal to the county board, and there are additional timelines tied to your county tax bill and the June 1st, 26 cutoff for the 2025 cycle valuation changes. Because the process and deadlines are complicated, the law firm's FAQ section recommends talking to a tax or property tax appeals lawyer if you're thinking about challenging your value.
Thank you for watching our video. Please call, text, or email for more information, and don't forget to watch our other videos about Montana.